the Prophet is reciting praiseworthy words about these idols and saying that you should seek to their intercession. They can help you reach Allah quickly. They can save you from Jahannam. This is what intercession is, right? The Quraysh thought, Muhammad has compromised. Muhammad has given our idols some value and some position. And so then they're listening even more attentively to the recitation, and when Rasulullah eventually prostrates, they join in the prostration. So that is the explanation given by some of the Muslim scholars and historians and people of seerah, and including Imam at-Tabari who records it in his tafsir. But this version is rejected by the majority of the scholars. It's rejected by the majority of scholars. Why is it rejected? Because firstly, the chain of narration is weak. And our religion is based on isnad. If you want to say something, you have to prove that you're saying it with authority. This is the beauty of our deen. It's protected and it's safeguarded from error and interpolation because we're a community of isnad. No Tom, Dick and Harry can speak of the religion. You want to speak of the religion, you tell me how it's connected to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, you have to give us the narration. You have to give us the chain of narration. And that's the strength of our deen. And actually, many scholars, including Jonathan Brown, he's written a book on the importance of isnad and why it's such a unique feature of our religion. Sheikh Jonathan Brown, he's a Muslim actually. The name may not suggest it, but he's a Muslim convert, and he's written a book about the power and strength of the isnad, or the chain of narration. So there's a connection all the way to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and every person in that connection has authority to speak on behalf of to speak on the religion from his scholar going back to the tabi'een, going back to the Prophet Muhammad, the Sahaba, to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through people like Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, Imam Malik, Imam Ibn Majah, and all these great luminaries in our history. So this version doesn't have a connected chain. So as Muslims, we don't accept it. It's not something that we accept. And this is the opinion of people like Ibn Kathir, Qadi Iyad, Fakhruddin al-Razi, Ibn Khuzaymah, and Imam al-Albani. So they all looked at the chain and they say, chain is weak, we don't accept this version. Yeah, it's weak, and it's also contradictory to our theological, to our aqidah. It's contradictory to our aqidah, that shaitan can come and trick people based on the Qur'an. Right? This is not, we don't believe that can happen. The Qur'an is safe. Inna nahnu nazalna dhikr wa inna lahu lahafidun. We review the Qur'an and we will protect it. Allah will protect it. So this is the part of the protection, that this story is weak. Okay, so that's version 2. However, this version that we've just spoken about has been accepted by people like as I mentioned, at-Tabari, but also Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Ibn Hajar, who is he? He is one of our great scholars, who's the author of the commentary on Sahih al-Bukhari, Fath al-Bari. One of the great scholars of hadith from the Shafi'i madhab, one of the great scholars, one of the teachers of Imam al-Nawawi, one of the students of Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. So he says that although the narration of this incident the chain of it is individually weak, put them together, there's some kind of strength. There's some kind of strength, some kind of firmness. So now there's a problem, because this is the methodology of the hadith scholars. Like one weak hadith on its own, you reject it. But if there is some hadith that are slightly weak, but if there are more than a few of them put together, it gives the narration some strength. So how do you deal with that then? So Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he says that you have to therefore interpret it in order to remove that which is reprehensible, right? If you're going to accept this version that Rasulullah was reciting the Qur'an and shaitan came and he added some verses, and that misled the Quraysh, and that's the reason why they prostrated. You have to interpret it in order to save it from any misunderstanding. So what does he say? He says, the devil interjected upon the Prophet's tongue, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it wasn't Rasulullah's tongue, it was the devil. He interjected. And the words that he interjected are, those are the elevated cranes, their intercession is dearly hoped for. Such a thing is precluded from being accepted in literal terms, for it is impossible for the Prophet ﷺ to add something to the Qur'an that does not belong to it, whether deliberately or erroneously. So he interprets it to say that it wasn't the Prophet ﷺ, it was the shaitan. Right? So he explains all of this. There's a third interpretation of this, which we won't go into because it's lengthy and it's quite deep. But the whole point is that they prostrated because of Surah An-Najm, and that is the authentic version, and anything else is additional. And if anybody wants to accept these additional versions, they have to interpret it in a way that safeguards revelation, safeguards the Prophet ﷺ's innocence and protection. Rasulullah is ma'asum, right? He cannot commit sin. He cannot make mistakes. Otherwise, and that's the aqidah of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So this is what this whole discussion is about. The reason I've raised this with you guys is because if a lot of our children and a lot of us, we are on the internet and we're searching on Google and on Chat GPT and we're listening to scholars, and a lot of us, we're reading books, academic books, in college and universities or at the workplace where we're hearing lots of versions and lots of incidences. If we're in denial that these incidences and these versions exist, then, many of our children are leaving the faith. Many of our children have huge doubts because nobody talks about these things. Nobody tries to explain what the position of the mainstream Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is with regards to these controversial or hot topics. And so we should speak about it and create spaces where our children can ask questions, can debate with us and probe these matters with us, and our family members and our women and our daughters. They can ask these things, and we give them a safe space. Rather they ask us, rather they question us, rather they debate us, then they go and speak to other people who could easily misguide them or take them down the wrong path. All right, so this is the Qissatul Gharanik incident. So and actually this incident was quite a serious incident that in the 1960s some scholars in Al-Azhar in Egypt, they debated the whole incident again, and then they gave fatwa, an opinion which says that that the only version that the Muslims accept is version 1 from Sahih Bukhari, from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Ibn Abbas, and all the other versions are rejected. Imam Al-Albani, he wrote a little booklet on this issue as well. So our scholars did address them and speak about them as well. All right, so that gives you an idea of why the Muslims came back, yeah, and the reason they came back. So when they came back, what happened? When they came back, they decided that they came back. They saw that it was all a rumor and it was a lie, it was false, and they stayed with the Prophet ﷺ for a little bit, and then they had to go back. They decided that they will go back. And this tells you how horrible the situation in Makkah was, that they didn't stay with the Prophet ﷺ. They were going to go back. In fact, when the 15 that came back, they took a lot more with them. It is mentioned in the books that around 83 Muslims, they migrated the second time to Abyssinia. 83. So initially how many was there? 15. Now there's 83 that's going, and amongst them there is about 19 or 20 women that migrated on the second occasion. And so there's a wisdom for them coming back. Everything, there's a hikmah that Allah has. Some people might say it was a wasted journey and they wasted their time. No, the hikmah or the wisdom is the Muslims that went to Abyssinia, the 15 of them, when they came back, they spoke about the safety, the ability to practice their religion, the fact that the Najashi, the king of Abyssinia, was nice to them, that they had better life there than they have here. They're not under threat, they're not under persecution. So that convinced more people to migrate. Hence the numbers was inflated. 83 of them migrated the second time. This is very, very important also to mention that around 40% of the Muslims migrated to Abyssinia, of the overall population, around 40%. So nearly half of the overall Muslim population migrated to Abyssinia. So this is important. And this time round, they again migrated sporadically. They couldn't all migrate together. They had to migrate in 2s and 3s, in small groups, undercover, in secrecy. And so eventually, 83 arrived in Abyssinia. This time round, Ja'far ibn Abu Talib also migrated. Who is Ja'far? He's the son of Abu Talib. Who is Abu Talib? He's the leader of Quraysh and also the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, the leader of Banu Hashim, the one that's given him protection. His son is migrating. Ja'far is the brother of Ali ibn Abu Talib. So Ja'far is a big Sahaba, a huge companion of the Prophet ﷺ. He migrates. Uthman doesn't migrate, nor does Mus'ab ibn Umair. So in the first migration, from the 15, Uthman was there, as we mentioned. Mus'ab ibn Umair was also there. And we spoke about who Mus'ab ibn Umair was a few sessions ago. The young leader of Quraysh, the handsome, rich, popular man of Quraysh who became a Muslim, and his mother put him under house arrest because he became Muslim. That Mus'ab, he migrated this time round. And when they got to Abyssinia, they were received well by the Najashi. Who is the Najashi? He's the ruler and the king of the Ethiopians. Salama, who is also somebody who migrated. Who is Salama? Salama is the wife of Abu Salama, but then Abu Salama dies, and then the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ marries her. So Salama eventually is the mother of the believers, our mother, the wife of Rasulullah ﷺ. But at this stage, she's not his wife because she's still married to Abu Salama. She migrates and she tells us the hadith. And she says, we were living in safety. We were able to practice Islam without being harmed, and we did not hear any ridicule from our neighbors. So this is the situation that the Muslims found themselves in Abyssinia, in Ethiopia. They were able to practice. They were not harmed. They were not ridiculed or mocked by their neighbors. And this was the case for the people in Makkah. So this is the situation of the Muslims in Makkah. Now, the Quraysh, they cannot tolerate the Muslims living in peace, living in safety, living in such a way, even if they're thousands of miles away in Ethiopia. So Abu Jahl, he says, we are going to send people to bring these people back. And so next month, inshallah, we'll speak about who is sent by Abu Jahl and what happens in the court of the Najashi, and we'll speak a little bit more about what happens in Abyssinia to the Muslims there, because it's a whole story and a whole incident in and of itself. So next time round, inshallah, we will speak about the Muslim migrants in Abyssinia. And it's important for us because we are Muslims living in minority situation. The majority of the population are non-Muslims. We're living in a non-Muslim ruled country system, very much like our Muslim community from Abyssinia. Abu Ja'far and the rest of them, they were living in a non-Muslim country, ruled by non-Muslim land, and they were a small minority. So there's comparisons with how they lived, what they did, and our life and our situation. So we'll go into a little bit more detail about this for the next two more sessions, inshallah, just on the people of Abyssinia. I hope that's a good introduction to the situation, and if there are any questions, we can take them now, inshallah. Yep.